think it's quite usual that when you go to McDonald's and look at the images displayed above with the cheese dripping over the large patty, and then to look down at the food on your tray and notice the differences without a second thought. Well, today's cheeseburger is the Binlihuan M10. So let's take a look at this thing. Good day to you all, and welcome back to another BBW review. Today we have the Binlihuan M10. Now let's go straight into the dimensions. You have a 40mm diameter across the watch there. The lug to lug is a 48.5mm, although as you can see it does angle down quite a lot to hug the thinnest of wrists, mine being a 6.5 inch. The depth of the watch from the base to the domed crystal, and it is quite a nice domed crystal, is 10.5mm. On the side you have a 4mm crown, quite small but it serves its purpose. The lug width from where it joins the head of the watch is 20mm and tapers down to the buckle at 17mm. Together with the strap, the weight is 56 grams, so quite a nice weight and a reasonably sized diameter dial. So going into the dial, before I go into the dial, I should mention that packed and shipped from Shenzhen in China, this will cost you $4.50. Now, despite the cheap price, you're not going to get a watch from a claw machine at a fun fair. It is quite a nice designed watch, and the materials don't feel or look cheap, although it is a chromed alloy. I'm not sure if that's zinc or brass, but it is not a cheap looking watch. It's quite a nice dress watch, despite the obvious contrast, which is that awful central dial there. Anyway, before we get to the central dial, you can see that the watch is divided into different dials that meet into the center. The first is the train track dial, which displays printed minute markers. Within that, you have a central dial where you have applied indices, and the color is a slightly different silver. Going further inwards, if you can see that, you have a further pattern dial. Now originally I thought they were Chinese characters, and on a second look I thought they were octopuses or something from a Lovecraft novel. But it is a nice touch, and what should have been the contrast or the main attraction of the dial is the thing that I think breaks it down and really does do nothing to the aesthetics of the watch. It's not just the dial itself here, but it's the color they chose. Now, it's not just that the color does not match the other parts of the dial, it's how deep the green is. They should have made it a much more pastel design, but as it is, it can be kind of make or break if you like this watch or not. For me, I think it's much too dark, and kind of breaks my attraction to this watch. But we'll come back to that in a minute. The hands are simple, slim, sword-shaped hands. The minute hand just reaches the minute track. The hour hand is a bit too small, and I think should go just beyond this dial here. And as expected, the second hand is a simple stick shape. But if you notice, the second hand does touch all the markers. So for those of you with an OCD, with that second hand OCD, it shouldn't be a problem. So while we're on the main dial, let's have a look at that minute hand jump. So putting the minute hand over the 12 and engaging. 3, 2, 1. Slight jump there. Let's try that again. I'm pushing it in with 2 fingers and then 1 finger. Let's try 1 finger. This is where you should get a much bigger jump because there's not much contact with the crown. And there's no jump there. Let's try it just once more out of 3. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Slight jump. How much is that? Exactly over the 12. Now I'll try with 2 fingers and see how much of a jump we get. 3, 2, 1. That's about a 40-second jump there. Okay. Again, $4.50. Send it over with the perfect time. 10 to 2. So that's the main dial. Again, the upsides are you do get 1, 2, 3. You do get 4 main parts of the dial, and they're all done in slightly different silvers, apart from that awful darkish teal colour in the centre. They should either shoot the designer or completely change that to a lighter or more pastel colour. Now the back is completely mirrored, so all you're going to see if I centre this is my camera. All it says is the name of the watch, the Binlihuan M10. There is no designation and there's no markings for the water resistance. So whenever you have no water resistant display, that means it does default to 30 meters or 3 ATM. Let's go on to the strap. Now the strap you get is going to be a bog standard leather or faux leather strap. It's quite supple. Stitching is okay. You're going to get 2 keepers, one floating and one fixed next to a very basic tang and buckle. As you can see here, the tang is very floppy and quite loose. Unsigned, but again for $4.50 you shouldn't expect anything more. The tang is very loose, but it does its job. As you see, genuine leather, but I guess they could just print that on any strap. I'm not saying it's genuine leather, but I'm not saying it's not faux leather either. This mark here is not the fault of the watch. That's my anatomy. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes. For a 6.5 inch wrist and for close fit, I needed to make an 8th hole there. But for those of you with a more normal wrist, you shouldn't have to do that. Maybe a 6.5 inch wrist is normal, but I do like a nice tighter fit. And because the watch is so light at 56 grams, a tighter fitting watch doesn't feel too bad at all. and back to the front. Now that green dial, depending on the light, does change from a darker greenish blue to a much lighter teal. But regardless, whatever lighting you're in, it's just going to be too light and unnecessary. Again, shoot the designer or change the aesthetics of this central dial here. I think that's the only thing that's going to make or break whether you choose to purchase this watch or not. And again, your first initial look at this watch is from the Photoshop designs online. Now, for what you're paying for this watch, again, $4.50, you're getting quite a good value for money. I can't see any problems why this watch would not be twice the price. The only thing I can think of is the designer. Why on earth would you choose that central dial of... Anyway, the central dial is okay, but why would you choose that colour? You have different degrees of silver going inwards from a lighter to a darker patterned, and then that central dial, which should be the main attraction, is just awful. I'm not saying it doesn't serve a purpose. The purpose is the design. But why would you choose a colour that does not match in any way the rest of the watch? At least if you like green, choose a much paler or pastel green that does match much better with the rest of the watch. As it is, I think it's the thing that really goes against the whole design and aesthetics of the watch. So many points taken away there, and please shoot the designer. So here it is on my 6.5-inch wrist. Now, despite being a 48mm lug to lug, you can see that those lugs do bend down quite a lot. So you're not getting any overhang, and there are no great noticeable gaps under either of the lugs. And as you've noticed, if you have seen any of my videos, I have a strangely designed wrist where on the right side there are no gaps at all, but there always seems to be a slight gap on the left side. I'm not blaming the watch there, I'm blaming my anatomy. Now that central dial does look slightly lighter, but still it doesn't match the rest of the aesthetics with the watch. Quick wrist roll, for what it's worth. It's a very, very basic leather or faux leather strap, and a buckle and tang as simple as you can get. But I guess it does the job. And for $4.50, I don't think you're going to get any better. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, which I should have at the start, and something which should be taken as said, is the material. Saying that the leather strap may be faux leather, I'm not quite sure, but for certain, the case material is a chrome-plated alloy. I'm not sure if it's brass or zinc, but it's certainly not going to be stainless steel for $4.50. But to reiterate, for $4.50, you're not going to get a $4.50 watch. The quality is going to be much higher than that, and it really is. It's not a bad looking watch, it feels great, it's light. Again, the only downside is that colour green. Keep it green, just make it lighter. So there you have it. the Binlihuan M10. Now, I'm going to harp on about this one more time. What you're getting for $4.50 is a very good watch, and one that I would thoroughly recommend. But it's that green dial that you just can't get away from. And I think if they did shoot the designer and make that either a different design or a much lighter colour, you would have a very, very nice watch that obviously I would recommend a lot more. But as it is, they really dropped the ball there. But still, it's not a deal breaker, and for me, I do recommend this watch. It may be something that you just get used to, but obviously, being such a central focus of a watch, it's not something you can ignore. But still, anyway, a nice watch, $4.50. And thank you for your view. I hope to see you next time with another watch on the green chair. Until then, take it easy.